Woo! Boy, Friar Dan, it feels like just last week we were talking about Legend of Korra Book 3.
Yeah, it does feel like it was just last week.
Now here we are talking about Legend of Korra Book 4, because this is the Spoilercast!
Spoilercast!
Episode 1 of Book 4, the final book.
The final book.
The final book. Not final chapter. This is the first chapter of the final book.
First chapter of the final book.
It's called After All These Years.
After All These Years.
A fitting title, given that this takes place 3 years after the end of Book 3.
Which I knew about going into it, that they were going to fast forward, and I think I even actually said that they should fast forward between seasons, and I'm glad they did.
Yes.
Because it's a great idea.
But boy, is it a lot to take in right off the rip.
Yeah.
Where everybody's changed in different places, and I'm really curious for the backstory to kind of fill in while the story's being told here. It's pretty obvious now already what the story's going to be. In that it's about the Earth Kingdom, the aftermath of the Queen's assassination. You have her great-grandnephew, who's a prince, who's going to ascend the throne after 3 years, apparently. And then you have Kuvira, who was Su Yin's captain of the guard at the Metal City in Book 3. Small role, but she was there in the finale. She saved Tonrek's life. Right. And that she apparently has amassed an army of metal benders and stuff. It looks like she almost, I don't know if there was if she overthrew Su Yin as the leader.
There was some kind of falling out because Opal was talking to her brother, who was engaged to
Kuvira.
To Kuvira.
Yeah, the eldest child.
And she still hasn't forgiven you. So there was some falling out there.
Yeah, but for her to have, Kuvira has amassed a lot of power and a massive army. And she's basically been going around to all the individual states of the Earth Kingdom.
And liberating them. Quote-unquote liberating them.
Yeah, she's been bringing them under her control. Basically having them swear loyalty and fealty to her. She's being called the Great Uniter.
The Great Uniter.
She has a fearsome military, a lot of power, and she's just collecting states under her protection. And in return, she's giving them... for right now we're seeing that she's giving them food and supplies, what they need, because a lot of the places are being terrorized by bandits after the fall of the Earth Kingdom government. And
Bolin is working under her now, too.
Along with Varric and Julie. So we have Kuvira's in charge, Bolin, Varric, because they're using Varric's high-speed rails. They build those, they're using them to get around. Right. And then also the eldest sibling of Opal. And the oldest of Su Yin's children. So we have that group, and then we have the New Earth Prince, who's a complete doofus, and Mako has to be the personal bodyguard for him.
He's going to be I think he's going to be a lot of the comic relief this season.
Yeah, he's your typical aristocratic, royalty, has no clue, is totally self-absorbed, complete moron. Thinks getting hit by a strawberry pie is the worst thing that could happen to him, and then forgets that he's allergic to bee stings and not strawberries when he tastes it. So there's going to be a power struggle, obviously, and then we have the Airbenders are doing their thing to try to keep the peace and help people. We have Kai and Opal show up at this village that's under constant attack from the bandits. They've literally taken pretty much anything of value.
I do like they have wingsuits now. They're using instead of
those are badass
glider staffs.
Yep,
which I think is kind of cool. It does show their flaw though really well in this episode.
Yeah, if one of those wings gets ripped, you're fucked. Yeah,
you can't use them to fly. But I think it's really cool to see everyone getting older. And it's really nice to see Mako and Bolin especially. They've grown up a little bit. They wear their hair a lot more tidy, and I know it's kind of whatever, but it definitely gives you a feel that they've gotten a little older. They're taking life a little bit more serious.
The Airbender kids are older now. Milo's still goofy, but he's not fart jokes, snot out of the nose goofy. Right. He's more like that exaggerated, 13-year-old.
I'm a man.
I'm a man now. Over the top personality. Right. Janora seems like she's, she didn't have much to do this episode. She was kind of there. But I'm sure she's going to be a major player as this goes on, because she's organizing the Air Nation.
Well, no one else we've seen in the Air Nation has had their tattoos.
No.
So she's only one of the two masters that we know of right now.
Yep.
that are actually masters. So we'll have to see.
Kai changed a lot. Kai is definitely much more mature. Seems like they really reformed his ways, and it was interesting to see him having to go after bandits when that's how they found him as a bandit, and that he's kind of on the other side of it now. But I found it interesting that the Air Nation tried to help this village with that through their own methods, and they always failed. The bandits are just too desperate or too well equipped. And so then Kuvira shows up, and they don't want the governor does not want anything to do with her. He's like, saying, "I know what you do. You're not a liberator. You're a conqueror." And we've yet to see on screen the other shoe drop. Was what he's talking about. So we see her bringing supplies and military protection to the village.
Right.
We don't see what the other side is, other than he swore his loyalty, but we don't see what that actually means.
They said he knew that the area was rich in ore.
So it sounds like they're going to lose any and all rights to whatever's on the land there in exchange for a constant supply of food and protection.
Right.
So it'll be interesting because now there's going to be a dynamic where there's the monarchy versus kind of this people's revolution that's also like a military coup.
Well, when they were first showing up with supplies, the ones that were wearing like the face armor, like the helmets and masks, looked like looked like stormtroopers.
Yeah, they definitely looked like the jackbooted thugs.
And then she's got the next generation of mechs now.
Yeah, the future industry mechs that we saw back in season 1.
And these ones are all they're computer animated in the show, but
she's even got her own symbol. The Earth King symbol was like the circle with the square, and it's kind of that a little organic. Hers is like that hard octagon.
Yeah.
And like it's all the corners are completely been cut off. Everything is rigid, and it says a lot about her and her style.
So right now it looks like that's going to be the main.
Yeah,
the main.
Otherwise, we've just been
conflict with the show.
Yeah, we're catching up with people. I liked to see Asami still doing things, still being herself. But you give the impression that even like Team Avatar, Bolin and Mako haven't seen each other in a long time. Mako and Asami, and then no one's seen Korra for 3 years. And she's supposed to be coming back when this is happening for the coronation of the new king. And then she's not there. Like, her dad shows up and he's like, "What do you mean? She's not here? She left 6 months ago. She's been writing me letters.
Saying that she's here, yeah. So
she's, completely fallen off the face of the earth, basically.
She's off the grid. As we've seen, because we find out where she's at. Not exactly where she's at, but what she's doing.
She's basically doing earthbending UFC.
Right.
She's getting her ass kicked.
Which I think is really cool that they're kind of integrating stuff that's going on in the real world into this.
Yeah. Well, we saw pro wrestling in Avatar Last Airbender.
That was amazing.
We saw like pro bending, which was like kind of like the sport, like using 3 different styles.
Right. And, it was almost like the soccer or
it was almost like it was kind of like football sort of. You had goals and but it was a team-based competitive sport, and then this is basically like a cage fight with earthbending. Yeah,
it's like it was encircled, all earthbending. They're both wearing stuff that looks like what UFC fighters would wear. You know what I mean? Like.
Now the curious thing is, she's beat up by the end of it. She gets her pay and she walks out, and it's like. The guy's like...
The promoter's
he's like, "You kind of look like that Avatar girl. Whatever happened to her?" She's like, "I wouldn't know."
Like, how would I know?
Yeah, it's like... Oh.
So she's living off the grid.
She's basically run away from being Avatar completely, which we theorized at the end of last season was what they'd do. Because she started out being the most gung-ho Avatar ever. And then the natural progression is that she's been getting knocked down a peg and getting her ass kicked on the spiritual journey. And that she, by the end of last season, I had thought... I had speculated that the story would be she had given up on being Avatar, and then she has to be brought back, and then reminded why she's so important, and what she's doing in matters.
I like the way they had Republic City. They went back at the very beginning and went through everything. Like it's like these vines, and now everyone's living together peacefully. They've made Avatar Korra Park.
The harmony that she was looking for at the end of season 2 has happened now in Republic City after 3 years. The Spirit Wilds and the city are right up against each other. The roads will go around the tree instead of trying to go through it.
Right.
And then you have people that are living in harmony. Like the Spirit Wilds are like a big attraction. People visit them, like visiting a zoo almost. Only without cages.
Right.
But there are people that live in the spirit wilds with the spirits as opposed to living in the city with other people.
Right.
And she finally has achieved the harmony. Maybe that's why she's left. Because it's like, look, everything I want to do happened. I can't do this. I can't do anymore. You know, I'm done. And that would be completely fair if that's the way she feels. Like, to keep asking her to do more would be pretty. At this point,
right?
It's like, how much more can she give of herself? Can she give other than just giving her life?
And that's what I think. That's why I think she's probably decided.
Yeah, I mean, she was willing to give her life, and then she got saved the last minute, but at a huge cost. So at this point, the only thing she has left, maybe she feels is her life, and maybe she's decided maybe my life is mine, and I deserve to keep it and do what I wish with it. So. Definitely a lot of interesting stuff. You know, this was again just kind of an intro, but it had a good little story to it. It introduced a lot of new elements,
and it set up a lot of what the plot for this book will probably be.
Yeah, it set up the conflict without making it look like it's like, you know, evil versus good. Like it does not look like there's really an evil or good necessarily at work here, but there's going to be two rival. Groups of people with different ways of thought. And
I think that what's going to end up coming, I could be wrong completely, is that they're going to realize they need the Avatar to reconnect the Earth Kingdom and reunite the Earth Kingdom.
There needs to be a third option because I guarantee you the royalty, the aristocracy is not going to work. And then a military coup, though, is basically just a dictatorship with, you know, the army as the ruling body. I don't think that's going to work either. So the Avatar is going to have to come back to present that third option, which is like the people. Everybody, you know, represented. So that's probably where this is going. But how it's going to get there and what's going to happen along the way. And I'm really, like we were saying during it, I'm really looking forward to the flashbacks. To building up to how Kuvira got so much power. So what's happened to Korra.
Why Korra decided only 6 months ago to finally...
Yeah, what happened 6 months ago that now she's like, she ran away, which is something she's never done once in her life. Well, she ran away to Republic City in season 1, but that's because she wanted to be the Avatar and then some. She wanted to learn airbending and be the Avatar, not just partial. So I'm really looking forward to this season. It's bittersweet that we're getting it and it's going to be over here in 3 months, but. I'm gonna enjoy the ride, and I'm gonna rewatch it.
I think I'm almost happy that they didn't release it all at once.
Yeah.
So we couldn't just watch it all. I'm looking forward to watching each week and finding out, you know, what's gonna happen, and wait and see. I have to wait and see what's gonna happen. Over the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So this will hopefully be every weekend. We're gonna try to keep these under 15 minutes for you guys.
Yeah.
Because if we're going on as long as the episode is, then that's ridiculous.
Unless something huge happens that we have to discuss.
Yeah, right now, this being the intro, it's just kind of easing us back into getting to know the characters again. Seeing how they've changed. Like, Bolin and Opal, not exactly a perfect couple. Apparently, Jinora and Kai are doing just fine, though.
Right.
But there's definitely tension between Opal and Bolin because of him working for Kuvira, and she obviously does not like her.
Right, and Mako is now the... bodyguard of the prince, so that'll be interesting to see how that fits in because, you know, he'll obviously be fighting, other people. So, it's interesting. I like it was a great intro. I think it's setting up stuff for great stuff. It wasn't a really compelling episode, but it's been 3 years. We need setup. You know what I mean? So
it was compelling in the sense that you're learning a lot about the world. But there wasn't like a lot of plot happening.
Right.
But the world building was compelling to me. Like, I'm always interested, like, oh wow, look how much has changed. This is different, that's different. So, definitely looking forward to the last season of Korra and the Spoilercast we're going to get to do for it.
I really am kind of hoping that they're going to do something else with this world. If not another series, something.
Yeah, we're getting a Korra video game.
That's true. That's very true. So,
right,
which we'll probably be playing. So,
yeah, so we'll see you next week then for episode 2.
Yep. Thanks for listening, guys.
Spoilers.